President Trump just posted this 20 minutes ago, saying statement of President Donald J. Trump, based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, unexpectedly so, and upon the request of Field Marshal Asim Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. Oh my God. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade. Okay, good. And in all other respects remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded one way or another. President Donald J. Trump. Guys, this is what we have been saying here all the time, that the reason why the Islamic Republic can't negotiate is because they don't have a response. And the reason why they don't have a response is because they can't agree to a response. And the reason why they can't agree to a response is because they're so divided. So I was kind of worried reading all of this until we got to here. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade. Honestly, this is worse than them. This is worse right now for the Islamic Republic than any military operation. So, and I think focusing on what's working might actually be beneficial, right? Like just using it takes a lot less military power to continue the blockade, and it's going to hurt the Islamic Republic even more severely. And let's give them more time. I don't think this is gonna. We'll see. I don't know. Is this time that they're giving them going to increase the divide among them, or are they going to be able to get their act together? That's the question.
I
But
interpreted
Ali,
this
what do you
as
think?
he said unified proposal, and then also the ceasefire is indefinite until they can bring a proposal or some sort of discussion. So what I immediately found out from that was that this leverage is working way better than if they were to go and drop bombs. They don't want to
Right.
knock out the power plants because they feel like the power plants would be even more leverage than the blockade, but they don't want to do it because it's collateral damage. It hurts the people too. So they're like, wait, we did this blockade and we've been saying, oh, wow, they're so reasonable. These guys are so great in this. They're so fractured. It's working. Why don't we just have it keep working? We're going to extend this ceasefire for them. It just means that the fractures that they've been seeing are working and they deem it to be more worthwhile. The opportunity cost and the return on investment for this is much more than if they were to restart the war.
Do you think they're going to be able to come up with a unified response, or is this going to increase the division?
I think it's going to increase the division. I think they would have come up with one by now. Because nothing's changed, right? Even if they do come up with a proposal, what can they actually give? There's nothing that they can actually give without losing their followers.
What would you do if you were the Islamic Republic right now? I mean, who in the Islamic Republic? What would you do if
They,
you were Ghalibaf or Vahidi?
at this point, I think I've realized that the only thing I can do is stick to my original plan, which was wait it out. And I'm going to lie to everyone, including my own followers, and I'm going to say, we are doing great. And that the US is scared of going back to war with us, so they're extending the ceasefire and hold on tight.
But can you afford to just wait this out? Because the blockade is like make the blockade means that you're gonna run out of cash. I mean, I don't know if these estimates are correct or not, but some people are saying within a month this is going to devastate them. Like this is going to completely bankrupt them.
Maybe not even a month. They're losing what, 430 million for the blockade and about 80 million just having the internet off. I don't even think it's going to take a month. But on top of that, let's see, they lie, say everything's good. Maybe they have some internal uprising from the regime supporters. Maybe they throw their terrorist militias on top of them. and suppress them. I mean, at this point, I would hate to be the lawyer that had to represent the regime in court because I have nothing. I got no evidence. I got no talking points. I got nothing left. And I wish my client would have shut up a month ago. Instead, they blabbed their mouth off and they're left with nothing. This is all I think about, by the way. All I think about is what can they do? And I can't find anything as of yet. That's solid.
If I was the Americans, I would focus all my attention right now on perfecting the blockade, right? Because it just takes so much less military power. I know some ships managed to go through, some shadow ships managed to go through. I would just just make sure that it's completely blocked, so that they're completely block them, and basically also hunt down every other ship. I know, I by the way, I saw that United States is allowing some tankers to get in the Persian Gulf, but they're not allowing them to leave, like to get to the ports, but they're not allowing them to leave. I don't know why they're doing that strategy. Maybe they want to make sure that they have them all in the same place, or maybe they could. I don't know. I don't know. But this is going to also show to regime supporters, because the regime supporters are following President Trump's posts, right? So they have had the suspicion that the division is high, and now it's being announced by President Trump. And believe it or not, regime supporters actually read President Trump's posts. And sometimes they believe it more than the regime itself. Like especially because President Trump said they're going to open the Strait of Hormuz, and then IRGC after came out and said we're opening the Strait of Hormuz. So there's a somewhat of a credibility that President Trump has among regime supporters. This is exposing the division, and I don't know what the effect that's going to have. I would basically talk to Vahidi. I would just meet with Vahidi, and we were like, listen, we have to find a way for us to get on the same page on this. Like, what are we gonna do? Let's figure this out. Like, and I don't know. Can you even meet with Vahidi? This is very interesting because, guys, remember I told you guys my suspicion. Remember, I told you that I think General Munir went to Tehran to try to figure out who's in charge. And now President Trump in this post is saying that that based on what he's hearing from General Munir, these people are very divided. So it's the Pakistanis who are advising President Trump regarding the division that exists, and like these people can't negotiate with you because they don't know how to respond to you. Like, we don't know who's in charge. Like, nobody's in charge. This is And also President Trump didn't even give a date. You're like, we're just gonna what do you think, Ali? Like, there's not even a date on this post.
It's indefinite.
Or
He
like,
just he it's indefinite because he sees it's working. Also, you just said something really good, right? You said if I was Ghalibaf, but what if you were Vahidi? Ghalibaf's personality has almost been killed. She's also the same. The reformers are basically seen as like the weak link, and you don't want weaklings in the regime. So if I'm Vahidi, here's what I'm thinking I would do right now. Right now, I would stage a coup. I would finish the coup. I would have the IRGC completely take over. I would put all the reformers under house arrest, which is, it's in line, right? They've been doing this house arrest thing for like decades. Everyone knows what it means. I would put them under house arrest, but the reality is, maybe they're a lot more locked up than what I'm saying. And then that way, that's the only way that me as Vahidi, I can come out, unify everyone, and then give a sort of unified proposal to the US. That's the only thing I can do. And I would still hurt from that because I'm still talking to the Americans as a hardliner. That is the only thing I'm thinking of how he can do.
and what would be the proposal?
That I mean, there's nothing he can propose that would. I really don't think Trump wants. I don't think he wants a deal because he realizes that there's no actual deal other than surrender. There's nothing that the regime could do because they'll never give him the uranium. They'll never open up the strait. That's like the same thing as suicide, and he knows that. That's why I think he extended it.
You think Trump doesn't want a deal? Because a deal will basically be able to a deal, like, yeah, I mean, there's no way, like, it, to get a deal, there is enough motivation within some parts of the regime to give the President Trump what he wants. The problem is that even if, like, they don't have access to the guns, like, they are not they don't have enough military power to make it happen. And the problem people like Ghalibaf are having is that even if they had some military power, it takes less military power to stop giving Trump what he wants. The military power that you're required to give President Trump what he wants is so much higher than the military power required to stop Trump from getting what he wants. So, for example, if President Trump wants the Strait of Hormuz open, okay? So imagine if you have, I don't know, if you're in charge of 90% of the military, it only takes 10% of the military to go and, call, basically send radio messages to ships and be like, we'll shoot at you with on our speedboats if we don't turn around. It takes 5% of the military to do that, right? So even if you have, and Ghalibaf doesn't have 90% of the military, but even if he had, it takes just a little bit of it to undo that, right? And imagine if you were to say, like, okay, go take the enriched uranium. So that would require cooperating with the Americans and not having anyone attacking the Americans, the engineers coming in to take the uranium. Again, even if you have 90% of the military in your control, it only takes 10% of the military to not cooperate for this to become a military operation rather than an engineering operation, right? So, and again, Ghalibaf doesn't have 90%. Okay, I don't know how much he has. He only has enough to be able to say, allow 20 tanker ships to go through the Strait of Hormuz. That's what impressed President Trump at some point, but he doesn't have that much. Vahidi, obvious. I mean, he's not. The reason why he doesn't have that much is because he's former IRGC. And something, Ali, I don't know if you know this, but Abdullahi might be close to Ghalibaf. That's what the influence of Ghalibaf is within IRGC. We're not sure because historically Abdullahi and Ghalibaf have been very close. So if Ghalibaf has any control within IRGC, there's a chance that it's through Abdullahi, the head of Khatam al Anbiya.
I think we've kept our options pretty open. We've considered every angle at this point. But personally, like obviously everyone's free to think whatever they want. But I think personally, I'm zeroing in on the route that he just never wanted a deal, and the actions that he've done so far supported the fracturing of the regime more so than trying to get them to like come to terms and then leave them alone. I think Vahidi's going to take over. I think he's gonna put the other guys in house arrest, and he's gonna become like the one unifying guy. I mean, who can stop him? Mujtab was asleep, missing a leg, missing an eye. But you're right. Like, there's nothing he can give. There's nothing he can give or could give that would satisfy Trump.
So how would this end? We keep going with the blockade, and then the economy. You know what they're gonna do if they start running out of money? They're going to print more than they have ever printed money before. And then we're going to see a crazy spike in inflation inside Iran. And then people are not going to be able to afford even the most basic needs.
But if you're also an Iraqi militia, if you're Hashd al-Shabi, you don't want to get paid in Riyal. You want to get paid in USD, and you're not going to get paid in USD because you don't have the
Right.
money anymore. So there's no oil
Right.
revenue coming in. There's nothing coming in. I think the angle is here. Hey, these terrorists came in for money. They'll leave for money.
Right.
If enough of them leave, let's just say even like 30, 40, 50% of them leave, that's enough ground for the people to gain the upper hand again. Maybe that's, I mean, I don't know, right? We'll have to wait and see, but maybe that's where we're heading.
They might seize assets as well. You know what they're doing right now? It's so disgusting. So I was on the show. We were looking at state TV. We were watching it live, and one thing we saw is like, oh, we're paying for damages, people's houses that were damaged during the war. And it's very interesting because they're cutting salaries of people and then using that money to pay people for their houses. So they're taking money. So, like, for example, teachers' salaries have been cut, right? They say this is for war damages. So they're taking money from the people to give it to the people. And then they claim that they're so, look at us being so nice. We're helping the people. So it's crazy. So what I think might happen is that we might actually see a lot, if it gets really extreme. They're just going to freeze people's bank accounts. They're going to stop paying people just to be able to pay with whatever money they have to be able to continue paying suppressing forces. So much. If this is the route that we're going, it's going to become economically, it's going to get really, really messy in Iran, because the regime might, like, they will cut everything to be able to continue paying their suppressing forces. And we might end up seeing like extreme levels of hunger and shit like that if this is the route that we're going.
If they do that, then people are going to come back out like immediately, right? Also, I think this extension of the ceasefire equals continuation of the blockade indefinitely. So you can see they equal the same thing. Continue the blockade indefinitely is a huge threat. Extension of the ceasefire is a much softer way of putting it. And all the objectives it could potentially accomplish is that China's being starved. You have your negotiations coming up with China. China's in a tough spot. So they're either going to do something or going to stay quiet. The militia are not going to get paid. The IRGC people aren't going to get paid. They haven't been getting paid. The regime's going to run out of money. They're going to become more desperate. Probably they're going to maybe make a stupid move. They're going to have this coup. Something's going to happen inside there. It also costs you, as the United States military, much less money to just enforce the blockade, as you've been talking about. It's just infinitely cheaper. I don't really see the downside. It's like there's no way this is going to take until the midterms. They're months away, and people internally have been saying everything they've been saying. I feel like the most amount of pressure that we've gotten from the left and the Democrats happened like a month ago, like a month and a half ago. And yeah, I mean, what do you think? Like, this is.
I think if I was the regime, this is what I would do if I had no morals. I would speed up the devastation, economic devastation of the Iranian people, go document it, and then market it internationally as President Trump is starving the Iranian people. That's what I would do. I would go and find, like, make so many videos of people not being able to afford for things and showing, how good things were before. And now their fridges are empty. People can't afford to pay for their medicine, and saying this is what the blockade is doing. And basically start a campaign internationally painting President Trump as this monster that is starving the Iranian people. I will cause it by printing a lot of money and causing inflation, and also cutting the pays from teachers, nurses, and everyone else. I would have a good excuse. I would be like, well, it's because of the blockade. That's what I would try to politically defeat President Trump in back at home, back in the U.S.
My counterpoint to that is if you print that much money, the inflation skyrockets and the amount of time that you have, plus the blockade for you to economically just, survive, is dwindling down really fast. Is that worth it over them taking the time and effort to push this narrative out into the world and for that to take hold and then put the pressure on Trump?
Well, let's see what other people have to say, because I see there's a big, and just cut the response list from here so that other people could respond to this as well. Okay, let's go through the list.
Jeffrey, go ahead.
All right, pretty quick, because you guys touched on a lot of key issues. So giving away their stockpile, like the regime remnants giving away their stockpile, doesn't preclude them from getting nukes, even if they wanted to give it away, because there is no unified command in Iran. Well, within the regime remnants, you couldn't even. It would be hard pressed to even carry out the operation. The IRGC is clearly running the show. Because of that fracture, you're not going to see the probability of you seeing any kind of unified deal is very low. What you'll probably see arise, or where the trends are leaning, is towards an IRGC dominated security military state, or at least that's what they're pushing for. It seems like. So, what do you have right now? You have IRGC versus clerics versus civilian officials. They all kind of don't agree with each other. As far as food is concerned, so there are contingency plans to airdrop food, potable water, and critical medicine to Iranian civilians. That's one of the things we looked at prior to the onset of military operations in February 28th. Now that we have air dominance, well, beyond air dominance, we could probably carry out that airlift. It'd be a little hard. I mean, you probably couldn't feed 90 million people. You might be able to sit there and airdrop it though in areas where you have a lot of that, like the worst of it hitting. Problem is the same as it is if you're trying to airdrop, small arms. How do you make sure the besieged or IRGC don't get it? You don't have what occurred in North Korea when the Clinton administration gave North Korea like 2,200 calories per person per day as part of the idiotic Sunshine Plan, and then Kim Il Ping Pong Head's dad had his military steal the food and then scrub the U.S. flag off and store it for his army. So, I mean, I think you guys touched on a lot of key issues. The main thing is the blockade is absolutely obliterating, like the Mullah regime's finances. Add to that Operation Economic Fury. I mean, we friggin' are hammering the shit. Like, that's hammering the shit out of the regime remnants. I mean, they're going after like I don't know how to pronounce this right, the Sakamhani network, I'm not going to try and pronounce it again. I mean, they're going after that shit. Secondary sanctions, foreign banks and entities are getting hit. They're ending oil sanction waivers. That's done. I mean, you're talking about maximum economic pressure, targeted economic pressure against the Mullah remnants. And as far as them printing money, it isn't going to do jack shit other than if they were going to do what Armin's saying. I mean, they're not going to be able to print their way out of this shit. Right? I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you print like a gazillion real. Right? I mean, you're talking about a regime that's rapidly losing money. If they are denied their oil revenue within like 4 weeks. I mean, we went through this. Remember, Ali, I went down the chain of like how it would be. If you're talking about 2 to 3 months, that's the end. Like, there's no way to recover from that. That would be like really, it wouldn't matter if they took all the teachers' money. I mean, now the point is how do you do that? How do you leverage this in such a manner where it minimizes the potential, the vulnerability, the political vulnerability the Mullah remnants are trying to leverage, as well as the damage and harm that might be felt by Iranian resistance and people, while maximizing pressure against the Mullah regime. I mean, they really have no way out. I mean, Ali's right. They're kind of fucked, right? There's no way out.
All right. Blake, you're next.
This is a real quick question for you, Armin, and maybe Jeffrey might want to really quick weigh in on this. The way he phrased it, saying he's extending the ceasefire indefinitely until they have a unified proposal, is a little bit weird to me, because couldn't they just never make a proposal? I mean, I guess they would run out of time then, but I feel like he should have left himself the option to restart at some point.
No, because the blockade is there, so they're running out of their.
Oh yeah, I know that.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's already a timer there, okay, and the timer is like, when are you going to hit to complete bankruptcy?
I just think it would have been better if he'd said, for now, I'm going to have a ceasefire to give them a chance.
It's not like he doesn't change his mind often. Like, he could change his mind whenever he wants.
My question is it possible that he might restart things if he thinks it's needed, even though
he does that all the time. Like, oh, I saw this happen, and now you want to go boom boom all the way. Like,
I'm the kind of person that if I phrase something that way, I would feel myself bound to not restart things until they give me a proposal.
That's you. That's not President Trump. He doesn't feel bound at all.
That was essentially what I was asking. I agree with you, though. Like I was saying a few days ago, we need to find a way to get this blockade going another month without having to restart bombings, because the bombings don't help much, and the blockade is wrecking them.
Yes.
So
The blockade is we have evidence that it's really effective because of their behavior, their desperation
and
for
also,
negotiation. The fact that they opened the Strait of Hormuz for just a little bit, it shows that it's working beautifully. But go on.
yeah, just the last point, and I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but the fact that he's saying like, oh, until they get a unified proposal, like I think that's splitting them more because he's
Yes.
suggesting that he thinks even the really hardline people can get on board with this, and so now the followers are going to be like, wait, what does he know? Is even Vahidi going to go over to them? You know, is even I don't know who the most hardline person is, but you know,
Right. Yeah. What this is going to do is going to make people take even more sides than before. Like the regime was trying to become united, and highlighting this division is going to make the divisions even more. If I was the regime, I would. If I was different members of the regime, I would be desperate to try to find a way to get people on the same page. But it's really difficult.
Jeffrey, did you also have something to say to that?
Yeah, just gonna quick add. I mean, like before you cited what President Trump stated on Truth Social a couple of minutes ago, a couple hours ago, he just put bombing resumes tomorrow. And again, the military, the combat power that is there now, and I said this before the show, is twice what was there prior to the beginning of military operations in February 28th. So again, if Donald does make that decision and he tells Pete Hegseth, go ahead, and Pete goes balls to the wall, I don't know, Armin, you might actually be 6-7 when it comes to what's going to do more damage, right? Because that's going to be a spicy meatball. As the other thing he asked, you're right about this. President Trump very much has a lot of love for Iranian people. That's pretty clear. He does not want, he is trying everything under the sun, even if the regime remnants won't allow it because they're fucking evil assholes, to minimize harm for the Iranian people. To that point, he just asked today, he put it, well, he didn't ask, he just posted, these women should be let free. That would be a good move before we have talks, right? Like he means that. He actually means that. So, you know, always keep that in mind, right? That's between two things. He wants that easy win, of course, because that's just kind of how he is. That's how he grew up in New York City. He is very much a no-nonsense guy who will take a deal. If you don't, he'll fucking punish you. He also really has a deep concern for the well-being of Iranian people. I mean, that's something he showed throughout both of his administrations. So I'm
By
saying
the way,
that.
Jeffrey, I don't think that meme is used in the way that you used it, but that's okay. All right.
Okay. I'm next to respond. I'm concerned whether quote-unquote complete bankruptcy for the Islamic regime would mean total loss of repression power. In my eyes, their win condition is that they retain just enough repression power to prevent Iranians from rising up before the next time Democrats are able to sabotage operations. This could be in 2028 with a Democrat president that's just going to completely take all the pressure off, or it could happen to a lesser extent in 2026 with control of the legislative branch, and then they can try to help the Mullahs hold on for another 2 years. I'm wondering if this strategy is going to kill them fast enough.
What's the strategy here?
So we're saying that by switching to a blockade, we're going to completely bankrupt the Islamic Republic pretty quickly. But I'm wondering whether total bankruptcy can't be sold to their supporters as, oh, America retreated because they couldn't bomb us. Our brave leaders destroyed all of their bombs with their bodies. And then they could somehow go through this complete bankruptcy.
But how are you going to pay your forces?
Yeah, so that's what I'm wondering. Can you like somehow retain some fraction of the forces with enough stopping power to hold on until some
not
Democrats?
enough. Not enough of them. If you're not paying the people, then I don't think they're gonna. I mean, this is what the Islamic Republic has tried to create: a loyal base support that will fight for it. for the sake of saving the ideology. I mean, that's why they just started this John Fado website, which they claimed 30 million people have registered to sacrifice themselves for the country if it comes to it. They say 30 million out of 90 million Iranian people register on the website. I'm pretty sure that's a lie, because I don't think they can, not even the biggest companies in the US can build websites that could handle that traffic. 30 million people, like, so I don't think that they have 30 million people registering. But I also know that here's the thing. I just recently, today, I saw a video of one of the people that works at the launchers. Like, he got bombed and he was missing his hands and his leg, and they brought them into these gatherings outside in Iran for the regime supporters. And I think they shouldn't have given him the microphone, because when he was speaking, he was saying that when they started bombing, everybody ran away, and I was the only one left at the launcher. Everybody else ran away. So we're talking about people who are already soldiers. So I think a lot of these people don't want to die. I don't think a lot of these people are as ideological as the regime thinks. And I think if you stop paying them, they're not going to fight. A big portion of them are not going to fight. I think the regime needs the money to be able to keep funding its war machine. But we'll see. We'll see.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe there's also a percentage of them that are true believers and will continue fighting. So I just don't know if that's, we have to be skeptical here. I just don't know if that's going to be enough. It might be enough though, because it doesn't take that much to close the Strait of Hormuz, or to cause not cooperate with the Americans when it comes to getting the enriched uranium out. So actually, it might be enough. We'll see.
Inshallah. And also, you were wondering why they're allowing tankers in but not letting them out. I think maybe it's because the Islamic Republic needs to store extracted oil, and maybe the US intends for the oil to be used for the benefit of Iranians in the future, but they're not allowing the oil to be sold right now for the benefit of the Islamic Republic.
I was thinking that, I'm not serious here, but I was thinking President Trump was like, "Oh, let them fill them, and we could have to take the tankers for ourselves, take it as payment for our military operations. Let's just let them in to just fill them up, and then we could just go yonk."
Yeah, I think we're saying almost the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. And last for today is Rebecca.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
About Armin's speculation of the Islamic regime using the Iranian people as part of an economic-based propaganda campaign. He's not here today, but the last few days, Payman has been finding a lot of more and more videos coming out of Iran, whose entire point seems to be showing the prosperity of the people, such as one the other day where they claimed to be in the capital, but they were actually going by the road signs in a town more to the north. I'm wondering if that might be setting the stage for such a propaganda campaign.
That's a good, I don't know, but if it is, it's smart to have a before and after, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The answer is I don't know, but that would be, kind of smart on their part if that's what they're doing.
Mm.
That shows, if that's their plan, that shows a lot of forward thinking, if that's what they're doing.
Yeah, he noted that it seemed quite odd to have these videos coming out at a time when it's hard for most people to get footage out, and it's very, very directed, like, aren't we doing well kind of thing, especially when they're not honest about the location and the city and everything else. That's all I wanted to point out.
I see one more two in the chat, and after that, you guys could continue the conversation here without me. I would go, and you guys could continue without me. So, CB, right? CB.
Yep, thank you. Just a suggestion on where they might get other funding from. Their central bank would have a lot of gold reserves at the moment, so it depends how extreme they want to go. They could sell those.
Wait,
So
what?
you look,
Oh,
Iran's central bank holds gold reserves.
how much do they?
Yeah, well, it's unclear, but it's somewhere between 25 and $100 billion. So it's not, you're looking at months, not a year, but it is something if they want to go all out and clear it. It's an option for them.
The current Central Bank of Iran, CBI, does not regularly publish transparent real-time data on its gold reserves due to its status. Okay. There's no, so we don't know how much they have.
I think there has been a report in the middle of last year from the central bank. It's not going to last the year, but I don't think it's something to bear in mind.
Okay, you see in USD. Here's an educated guess. Okay, it says 48 billion.
Yeah. There are other rumors that it's closer to 100 billion because there were apparently transfers coming in from Turkey to Iran sort of late last year. But again, you're looking at months, not a full year.
Yeah, okay.
With those numbers.
I mean, if any country is cut. Okay, CB, I'm hearing myself back. If you want to mute your microphone, but yeah, if any country goes and starts selling whatever reserves that they have, either in gold or foreign currency, that's kind of suggests that everything is falling apart. So they might go into that, but you're saying that would just last them months. But if they do that, that does suggest that basically we're getting closer to the end, if they had to resort to that.